Hey, this is artist and author Cameron Johnson, and you are listening to the Rebel Base Card Podcast. Great pull, kid.
It's too much, Greg. It's too much.
Everything's going to be all right, kid.
You found the Rebel Base Card Podcast.
She may not look like much, but she's got it where it counts, kid.
I'm your host, Greg McLaughlin.
Have I made a few bad decisions? Sure.
We talk about cards, collecting Star Wars, and to people in the Star Wars community.
Don't worry. We're going to meet up with some friends of mine.
Look for special episodes called The Breakfast Pack, talking about your favorite Star Wars shows.
We will never have a better chance than this.
All right, let's get started.
Well, perhaps it is time to begin again.
Welcome back, or if this is your first episode, welcome aboard. My name is Greg McLaughlin, and this is the Rebel Base Card Podcast. And once again, I am talking to you from inside the show here at the Chicago Non-Sport Card Show. One of my favorite shows that we're lucky to have here because just as the title says, it's nothing but non-sport. Not just cards, but there's a lot of collectibles here as well. And it's a show that I like getting to when I can. Typically they have a fall show and a spring show. Today I had a chance to rekindle some friendships that I have here. We'll talk to Bill from Lookie here. You've heard him on the podcast before. I also had a chance to talk to Jason, who also does a lot with the TCG. He had a lot of Pokemon and Magic cards as well, and a couple other surprises maybe. But the thing that I like here, I remember to bring my King Kong binder this time, and so kind of a project I was kind of working on little by little. Was that 1976 Topps King Kong set. And so I remember to bring the binder, got my bag, and it was nice to pick up some singles from there and, just kind of poke around. A lot of times these shows are kind of a reset for collectors because you're around a lot of things that you may not be looking for. You may come here for a specific thing, but you find, oh, wow, that's actually kind of cool. And so I found a couple of nice cards that I wasn't expecting to find. But that's kind of the nice thing about these kind of shows. And whether, there are shows, and if you're in major areas, there's almost like a show every weekend. And a lot of times that's, you get the nice shiny in the slab stuff, with the Star Wars Chrome that's out and the Sapphire Chrome and the Galaxy that's coming. There have been a lot of high-end sets for Star Wars this year. Hard to find, like the Chrome one that most folks have been able to find, whether it's been at Costco or GameStop or Amazon. I know, if you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you hear me talk. We talk a lot about casual collecting as well as like if you're serious about it. But sometimes it's hard to find, the cards on the shelf, right? And so, but the nice thing about Star Wars and a lot of these cards is they've been around for a long time. So sometimes you can find things here at like a non-sport show that you weren't expecting to find, and maybe you find like you try something new. I also recommend, if you haven't read the Non-Sport Update magazine by Beckett, that's also a nice one. You usually find those at a Barnes & Noble. And sometimes you may not even be interested, or that may not be the thing that you were interested in reading. But I was on a plane and found a cool set about these Skybirds, this trading card set from 1934, and plucked one of the cards off eBay. It wasn't that expensive, and it was pretty cool to kind of check out a card that's over 120 years old. But like I said, the non-sport shows, you can get complete sets here. You can get singles. You can get all kinds of cool inserts and other things as well. I think the show is going to be kind of transitioning, kind of like runnership, as it were, as opposed to ownership. But that's good because you want shows like this to exist. I think as much as we like the National and to see all the pomp and circumstance, it's the smaller shows that I typically find are some of my favorite. And there's a lot of personal things you can kind of do here and talk with folks and interact and maybe find something that you hadn't thought you might want to take home. But anyway, all right, we're going to get into my conversations here at the Chicago Non-Sport Card Show. We'll be back right after this.
Hey, this is Jay Lynn Warner, and you're listening to the Rebel Base Card.
It's not as easy as it looks, is it?
No, it's not. Let's do that again.
Oh, I'm keeping this one.
This is yeah.
We're in attack position now, sir.
Hold here.
We're not going to attack.
I have my orders from the Emperor himself. He has something special planned for him. We only need to keep him from escaping.
Jason, we've had kind of a fascinating discussion so far, and here at the Chicago non-sport card show, you've got a huge selection of Magic and Pokemon TCG, and we were kind of talking about, I've been going down the rabbit hole of Pokemon, especially when I see folks talking about value and purchasing of and the market and all that. And, for a casual collector, sometimes we can kind of scratch our heads, but I liked where you started, where it starts, like with many folks, about opening up cards. But can you tell me a little bit about going from, like, maybe a collector to, hey, I want to kind of jump in and start to kind of sell and things like that, and kind of, was it a slippery slope, or is it just something that you kind of said, you know what, this is my time now?
So that's a very good question, and really how this all kind of started for me is I did want to open up a local game store, and there were some bumps along the way in terms of what you needed to qualify to become a distributor. And of course, I don't have a brick and mortar store. What I have is a phrase I lovingly stole called a traveling convention store. So I sell online, I sell on eBay, and then I do about 40 or more shows a year, traveling throughout the Midwest. Probably next year looking to travel a little further than that. So that's just a little bit about myself, and essentially, like how I obtain product, how I observe people interacting with the different assortment of products that I offer, in addition to other collectibles that are out there on the market.
We were also talking before about, how much of the Pokemon audience is really about collecting, not so much playing. I was kind of surprised when we talked about the kind of the Venn diagram of those who play and collect or those who just play. But I was kind of surprised, given how much printing, or at least, when I see them all over the place, that there is still such a high demand for collecting of it. And can you maybe speak to what people are kind of looking for?
So in my experience, and this is just going to be a little bit of a generalization, sure. People collect what they collect. I used to sell Funko Pops, and I was at a convention where a young lady collected pink Funko Pops. It didn't matter what it was, as long as it was pink, she collected it. There was a gentleman here earlier who was looking at Pokemon cards and was looking for cute pets because they have dogs. He was looking for any type, like, he knew what Pokemon to look for, but they were dog Pokemon that he was looking for specifically. They weren't expensive cards. They were things that spoke to him. So some collectors, they collect the very expensive stuff. And from my experience and how I am seeing that, there's a couple different reasons. One, there's obviously the value that's attributed to that, but two, it could be the exclusivity of having that thing, and maybe it's not an investment play, but like being renowned for having that particular item and saying that you have it is something that makes them want it.
When you come here, we started talking about the boxes early on, which I love, like, coming to a place where I can nerd out about boxes. But we talked about when you have this much that you're bringing, you don't worry. You have a general sort, but can you talk about what you're bringing and how you try to present it in a way that A, people can go through it, but B, you don't spend your time is worth, like, I could go through and I could sort it all by this, but at the end of the day, it's just fine if I put it out.
So, do you want me to answer this from the business perspective, or the name of my business is SideQuest Games and Collectibles, and the reason I called it that, two reasons. One, it was a side thing when I started, but two, you get the coolest loot at the end of a side quest typically. So which way do you want me to start answering that?
Any way you want.
Okay, so we'll start from the business perspective. I don't sort my stuff because if someone comes over and they're looking at a box, they're just going to start picking up cards and they're going to be looking for something. But all of a sudden, they're going to be like, wow, that's cool. Maybe I didn't see, maybe they didn't know that card existed. I want that. They're coming through. oh, I didn't know that existed, or oh wow, I actually need this, and they were gonna get this, but now they're getting this. And typically those types of collectors aren't as price sensitive. They're a see, want, have, or see. Not necessarily impulse purchase. They might have like a dollar amount in mind, but the sticker on the card might not be as much of a barrier. I lovingly refer to that thing as the trap, right? It's like the longer they're here, the less they're going to be at other vendors. They're going to be at my booth longer. They might see other things too. But now, from a collector's perspective, they may come across stuff they didn't know was out there. They may be like, "Wow, Joe collects these cards. Does he, know that this exists?" And then they'll get on the phone with their friend, and next thing I know, there's 2 more people at a convention. They all came together, and they're all looking through stuff. And it's then helping people find the stuff that they want as part of their side quest. Another note to that is conventions that I go to, specifically sports card shows, you typically see vendors have one table. They have a case. It's their super big hits in the case, and behind them they may have product sourced from various places. If it's a business, they may have booster boxes. If it's someone who's doing this independently, it could have been stuff gotten at retail and charged market value. But there are, in my experience, there's very few people that see someone bring these to shows, and a lot of times they're like, "Wow, you actually bring trainers to shows? I never see it. I never see this." Blah blah blah. And so now you're providing something to the collectors or players that they don't typically see. So there's value there too.
And I was just thinking, like, at shows that I go to sometimes where I need to look for commons, but I'm afraid if I go to some of these card shows, it's only going to be the slabs and sometimes, yeah, you're right. I wouldn't mind picking up commons as well. So a good mix. I think the other thing you might be saying is that you can outsmart yourself if you're not careful.
Right.
And as many shows as you do, it makes sense to keep it simple.
Exactly. From my perspective, the big places where inventory is super, super important is when you're selling online. If you have a website, stuff in the case. I try to keep a good idea on what I have, but it would not be great if someone went into my case and stole a Celebrations 25 Here Comes Team Rocket. Just because nobody wants to be stolen from, but the cost for me to obtain and replace that card is relatively low. So,
and I guess also just kind of wind it down as far as like, even though you might have inventory that might not move for a while, I think you almost have to treat each show as like you're going to see a lot of people that you're going to meet for the first time, mm-hmm. And so it's all right. I could have this in my inventory for a while, but I got a new audience every show.
Exactly. So when I first started doing shows, I was very meticulous with my inventory on stuff, and this just the totes that you see here is something that kind of evolved just from conversations with other vendors that I started to work with at shows, and there, in terms of stuff that sells, there's a father of my daughter's friend who sells toys online, and he has always said, I'm never selling anything at a loss. Blah, blah, blah. I will buy something and sit on it, because he told me everything sells eventually. And I have found that to be true, especially going to a lot of conventions. You are definitely running into different people that are looking for different things, collecting different things. Depending on where you're at, there might be lower price sensitivity. There's a lot of things that play into that too. So.
And just lastly, at a show like this, one thing I like about the Chicago Non-Sport Card Show is it's on its face is exactly what it is. It's an ever-evolving show, highs or lows, but it's a concentrated form of the stuff that I like. Does that kind of, where maybe you might get lost at a larger show where you're one of many, it probably makes you feel kind of nice being at a show like this because I'm kind of unique here, but I'm also within good company.
So this is a very good topic, and I might ramble on a little bit about this one because as someone who does a lot of shows throughout the year, I'm constantly looking for new events, right? And a lot of times the naming convention of an event can be misleading. There can be a lot of room to play in this space. So, for example, if you were to hear a vendor fair, initially in my mind, I was kind of discounting those because I'm like, oh, that's going to be, a lady with her Etsy art and somebody over here making this and that and this and that. But I started to do a couple of them, right? And yeah, you got those types of vendors there. But guess what? I was the guy that had the Pokemon and Magic cards there. And I would crush that event because the tables were like $40 a piece, so my overhead was really low. And people would talk, and then I would network. Bigger shows, there is advantage to doing them, but I think what is most important is making sure the show that you're doing falls in line with the theme of what you're selling. So we're sitting here at a non-sports card show, right? Mm-hmm. What do I have on that shelf over there? I've got purses, I've got keychains, I've got totes over here with croc charms. I've got a wide variety of items. These are earrings that my wife makes. But if you look at the theming on them, a lot of them is like pop culture, horror, like stuff that is related to other stuff that I'm selling. And so now, if a boyfriend is over here looking through the Magic cards, girlfriend might be bored out of her mind. Well, now she's looking at jewelry. Now she's looking at other things that she's interested in too, right? I have been driven away from shows that build themselves as like Funko Pop only shows, because it's like you can go to a show and maybe half the people are selling Funko Pops, and with something like that, there's a lot of overlap, right? But if every single person's selling Funko Pops, now you're competing on price. Right. And now there might be a little bit of competition on selection. And so I when something's pigeonholed too deep, I don't like to do those types of shows. Interesting. So. All right.
Well, and lastly, I'm going to kind of let you get back to it. Tell me about where people can find you online and the best place to reach you.
Well, the best place to reach me, I don't know if there's like a best place to reach me. There's a lot of different places. So if you go to my website, which is sqgamesandcollectibles.com, I have links to all of my socials at the bottom of the page. sqgamesandcollectibles@gmail.com is my direct email. Facebook is a good way to send me messages. The page there is SideQuest Games & Collectibles. So instead of and. I have a YouTube page, doesn't really get too much attention. I tend to have more fun making TikToks because they're quick and I get a little bit more engagement out of them. But you'll find the occasional dad joke or stuff like that posted on Facebook and TikTok and stuff like that. So,
Jason, I just want to say it's a pleasure talking, collectibles with you on a little bit of a quiet Saturday. But I would say I find myself home here when I'm here because I'm like, anything up here is for fair game for me, and if I can make it out the door with some money, I'm in a good place. But Jason, it was a pleasure meeting you.
For sure, and same with meeting you.
Hi, this is Adam from Garbage Chute Droids, and you're listening to the Rebel Base Card Podcast. Great pull, kid.
When we're talking about the stickiness, right? Of say like you go to a national and you see like a big whatnot or any of the Breaker Pavilion where it's like a little mini Las Vegas, and there is this element of any of these tables, stickiness. But then what's nice about coming to a non-sport card show like this, and you go past the table is I'm at looky here, and I'm not expecting to see. I'm not looking for like Game of Thrones or Star Trek or this, but there is a stickiness to kind of like I see into your display and I see a little bit of everything, and I go, that's cool because I'm not looking for it. I was talking about it earlier, but it's fun because I don't feel like I have to. But then my wheels start to go, and I go, this is kind of cool. And I'm like, oh, I like that, and I might get that, even though I'm not here for it. There's possibilities, and I think when you're putting, you've put this show, you've put this display out year after year, but I think there has to be some fun in the randomness sometimes of it, and maybe not overthinking it.
And this weekend especially, not just because it's 90% cards, but I have the related. Like the Hot Wheel cards, all Batmobile, different Batmobiles and stuff, and HeroClix and those figures and action figures, and it's fun. Like I have the same people, like you said, coming by, we talk, how's your year? I know their families sometimes, but it was funny, this weekend, they're like, I never noticed this card before. Now I've had that card forever and a decade, maybe sitting in there, and they're like, I'm going back to my old card list, and all of a sudden they're filling those spots, so they're saying, that's a neat looking card. I've never seen that type of autograph with a comic cut or whatever in it. And like you said, they'll get it. I had one customer the other day, they not only got a few cards I know they had seen before, but there was something about it that evoked something. And then he looked over at the Hot Wheels, the Batmobile, and said, I need those two. Not I want, but I need. It was just weird. It was just like they got joyful about it. And it's like, and we're just sitting there and standing talking about his family, how things are going and stuff. But yeah, I think, like you said, you need both. But sometimes you need the commerce shows to give your brain a rest when you're going to it as a customer and saying, I'm not rushing around and I'm taking the time to see what's out there. Or I remember that there's a nostalgia to it or something. So that's I find that pretty good. Pretty cool,
As I'm kind of sitting here, and this is why I don't do this because I wouldn't make any money, it's like there is a joy for me in looking at a setup going, imagine if I came to a place, I got a couple of tables, and I set up like a collection that I was not that interested in keeping. Like, yes, I'd love to see it move. But on the other hand, I think if I'm sitting here in between, people looking at it going, it's fun because this is a part of my collection as well, and there might be stuff that you even go, you know what, I haven't had a chance to look at that piece in a while. It must be fun to kind of even revisit stuff that you've sold or you've tried to sell over and over.
Oh, it is. It is. Like there was something that actually sold yesterday and today. 2 chase cards from a set that came out several years ago, and I liked it. I liked looking at it because it was called Strange Change from the first Doctor Strange. It's Doctor Strange card set, the first movie. And it was literally a cut card with a dime and 2 pennies in it, or 3 pennies, the cost of the comic back then of that issue. And on the coins, they were, 1963 were the dates of the comic. And I don't think about it. I would put it out there, and the 2 people that bought each one of them blew their mind, and it just evoked back to me. I said, I know, why aren't those great? That's that whole weird idea of putting, that 12 or 13 cents in a card that revolves around the issue, but it's, and they gave it a goofy name, but it was something that evoked something that somebody said, I would love to have that and look at. I don't know, that's just, to me, that's cool. And it made it new to me again. That's the thing. So, yeah. And I think I've gotten to the point now, I may not be doing this forever again, another so many years, but I will look back at the older stuff and say, oh, I can't believe I still have this. And, oh, this was a great set. I loved it when it first came out. You remember those back in the day with the Universal Monsters by Topps and all that stuff, And the simple sets, so many chase cards, that was it. But they were fun to put together. And they had a certain, I don't know, it evoked something back when you were doing it, Late 80s, early 90s, yeah. Yeah, when that stuff exploded, and they were affordable too.
One of the things I love about the Chicago Non-Sports Show, and like a lot of times I think you guys will get together for like a dinner, and so this becomes, not only like a convention that you're setting up at, but it's almost like Old Home Week where not only everybody can kind of catch up, and I think it probably becomes just as important as selling the product. Although, once again, I'll say selling the product is the important part, but getting together is also.
And then even the few dealers that are here that travel, do a lot of shows, bigger shows, and they have, and like, this is a hobby business for me, obviously. That's the only show I do now twice a year, but they're from other states. They're doing like 6 shows coming to this and other. This is their small one, and for them, they're reconnecting with people they knew, friends, and also it gives them a chance to kind of, build their supply, so to speak. If they say, hey, we've been coming to you a long time, we're getting out of it. Is there anything you're interested in? Whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's kind of that hobby that it kind of fills itself up and down again. You know what I'm saying? We would always, Dave and I would joke about how many times has this card might have gone to the same 5 people. You know what I'm saying? You kind of wonder, if I could track this, how they track the dollar bills? if you could put something on there and track it and say, all of a sudden it's back in your hands after like 10 years, that would be funny. But no, you're right. And the dinners are great, and, they don't happen as much as they used to. But, yeah, again, it's connecting and saying, no, I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on? Well, sometimes not good news health-wise, sometimes great news, and stuff like that. But families becoming grandparents, stuff like that. But, yeah. But I like the non-sport cards because, I don't know, it crosses so many genres: comic books, televisions, movies. It seems like it's very expansive to me. And I hope this hobby stays around for a long time for people to enjoy, and to enjoy. Not get too crazy about the worth of the value, but the worth of the value it is to you. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
No, because I think as you grow as a collector, I think you evolve over time. And so not only do you kind of maybe refine what you collect, because I think in the beginning, getting back in it, you start to get everything, right? You start to get full sets, and then you start to go, what is it about the hobby that I enjoy? And one of them, and that's why I think I might even go back to regular baseball, because the packs are, you can get them easy. There is a building to it, and then it's affordable.
Oh, yeah.
But I think also that, you may find, I think especially in like yours where you have a little bit of everything, and you start to go, I like that set maybe for how it looks, or I've seen this but I haven't seen this before. And so I think it's sometimes a show like this can kind of help you maybe reset and go, maybe I want to start doing that thing over there because I like that.
Yeah, because everything you said so far has happened this weekend to me. There's this one guy who's come here all the time, and he always revisits his lists. He doesn't really get anything new anymore. And he was buying this old Inkworks is no longer around, card company, and they did a lot of the X-Files. And there was one of the X-Files connections. And all of a sudden, now they've been here forever. And there he is purchasing the 9-card puzzle thing, the 6-card set, and the 3 box toppers. And I kind of laughed, and he goes, this is one of those sets I had. There was not a lot of chases to it. He's culling a lot of the other stuff, but he's going, this is what I really want to concentrate on. It's like, and he basically was like, I knew you'd have it. I don't know if that's good or bad, Oh, it's going to be hanging around. Okay, cool. But it was like, it was his find, and it was great, because then it goes. But that's what I'm finding now are things like that. People are doing resets. Young woman here, her boy was her son who was a grown man, young boy. They did it. They got away from it for a while. They're back into it together. Mother son type thing. He's a man now, and she's going, I didn't realize there was an Umbrella Academy card set, which came out a while back. And I had a bunch of stuff, and she was getting excited about it. I was like, that's cool. And it's like it's a discovery thing, and it's kind of cool, the discovery, instead of going like, and it's been out a while. So it becomes more affordable and everything for them, and I can get rid of it. That sounds awful, and I don't mean it in that way, understand, but I mean, it's like, and they're a true collector, and you understand, and they're collecting not for a monetary value, but it's something that they enjoyed, and they put that emotional attachment into it, like it used to be,
Well, and I do think that there is, I wouldn't say a higher calling, right? Because all this stuff are, a lot of our collections are how many steps away from somebody going through it, your family going through it, pitching this and left. And so on the one hand, you're trying to find that person who connects with that. Right. But on the other hand, it's nice because you could have something maybe on your table that you've had for show after show, but then you go, so there is a value for me keeping, this it's spot on its real estate, because at some point it will, or at least I have faith that it will eventually move, and someone will in their reset will go, today I'm all about these relic cards from Star Trek: The Next Generation or something like that. So it probably helps you going, all right, as I pack this all up later today, that I can feel safe that I can bring it out again.
Yeah, exactly. And my faith was restored this weekend, because most of my sales were ones I'm going, really? That was a 2011. Okay, sure. Okay. So nostalgia is the watchword today. So, but no, that's cool.
We both experienced that, where we take this material from show to show to show to show, and it just sits there, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in here and says, I've never seen that before. Give me all of those.
Yeah. And for a moment, you're standing there kind of like going, are you kidding? Is there a camera? You're kind of looking around going, what are you talking about, And you're going, okay, sure. So it's like, yeah, no, exactly. That is exactly what you're talking about. I mean, you have that one card, you go, oh, nobody really ever, and I'll be talking to my wife saying, oh, maybe this is the day I just, give this to someone or whatever, and she's like, yeah, probably, and then someone walks in and goes, sure, here you go, boom, and you're like going, really? It did, what? Who are you? And who's setting me up?
Well, and something that resets me, and I think every time I come to this show, that it does sort of renew my faith in attendance aside. You've had your great shows. You've had shows that have been kind of quiet.
It's kind of quiet. One of the more quiet ones, yeah.
But it does show that there's a pureness to this that I see. That when I go to another big card show, and what I'm interested in is this a corner of a table of one section. Here it's like, this is a smorgasbord for me, and it's fun because not only do I see people that I've seen over and over again, but also it's like it's a chance to kind of, all right, take a breath, look, and then you're kind of alone with your collection going, what do I, this time I was smart. I brought my binder of King Kong. I'm like, all right, I'm looking for singles that if I don't know what I don't know, I don't.
Which King Kong set?
This is the 76.
Oh, the 19. Oh, okay. Okay. No, the most recent was, I think it was Eclipse Cards, because I loved that one. It was in the 90s. And the one chase card, which was great, was whenever it was just literally an embossed or card of Kong, the poster, the skyline, and it was like silver foil on the lightning bolts around, and that was it. But I loved it, and it was such a great set with all those wonderful images, because King Kong was my movie. I discovered it when I was 8 years old. To me, greatest movie in the world. And, that's all there was to it. Period. No one can tell me otherwise. So there, But you're right, checklists are important. Thank you for remembering. Where's your checklist?
And then just lastly, of course, because tell me a little bit about your setup. Now, I know that we've talked in the past, and you're the anti-online when it comes to this, but yes. when someone's looking for you at the Chicago Non-Sport Card Show or otherwise, where can they find you?
Well, this is the only show I really do, fall and spring. Entering the room, I'm to your left immediately with a bunch of cards in the front. And I do bring action figures and toys. Not a lot, but a smattering of everything, as I like to call it. And like you were saying, it's more eclectic than anything. there's certain things there that, and it does, I've got my relic cards, some auto cards, chase cards, a lot of binders with chase cards, and some complete sets, So, yeah, show up, say hi. Don't necessarily have to buy anything. Say hi, too. That's fine. I'm good. I talk. You know that.
And your better half still continues to come with you, so I still see it's. I still see that it's still working.
My wife Celeste still makes sure she is here to make sure that I do not buy anything. So there you go. So that she goes, we are selling. Okay. Yeah. Put it away, Bill. Okay. So so. That's fine.
Well, on the one hand, I hope that you go home with. I hope you go home with less than what you came with. I think that is the phrase.
I can guarantee that.
And Bill, it was a pleasure seeing you again.
Great seeing you again, and thanks for putting me in the airwaves. That one day after I pass, my grandchildren will say, "Why did he say those things?" So, and they'll go to their parents and go, "Mom, he was nuts."
No, just a collector.
Just a collector. Which is the same thing.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Bobby Sussman.
And I'm Nadia Kovacs.
We're the Galaxy Edge Explorers, and you are currently listening to the Rebel Base Card Podcast. Great pull, kid.
Yeah, speaking of location, my friend, you have the catbird seat out here. You are the first thing people see at the Chicago Non-Sport Card Show, but I'm kind of curious. When you're setting up, what do you how do you choose what goes out here, what these nice folks get to see?
Well, I used to run this show years ago, and I know most of the people. So over the years, I've learned what their habits are, what their their likes and dislikes are. So this time, we have what we call singles for charity, which are single trading cards, variety of different subject matters, anything from the science fiction genre to the cartoons, superheroes, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But we also have past promo cards that we've done for the show in past years, and also one of my biggest accomplishments, the Treasure Chest of Art, which was a collection of 100 wooden treasure chests filled with original artwork on trading cards. And everything, when I attend this show, everything I do is 100% beneficial to the Pediatric Oncology Treasure Chest Foundation. They're headquartered here in Orland Park, Illinois, and their website is treasurechest.org. You can look it up. They help over 15,000 children and teens with cancer every single month, and that's in over 55 locations, 22 states, including the District of Columbia. And we're growing. And we've got 2 more chests ready to open, this coming year. It's a wonderful organization. I've been affiliated with them for over 25 years. So 100% of the proceeds of everything I do here this weekend benefits them. And when I do other shows, percentage or, special raffles, it just depends on the show and, the crowd and things like that, But they're a wonderful organization. I love the collectors. The nice thing about the non-sports collectors is we're really all a big family. Mm-hmm. And we always have been. Everybody helps one another. If somebody needs something from a set, other people rush to help, to say, hey, this dealer's got this over here, that one's got that over there, and we all help each other. Same holds true with the artists. My Treasure Chest of Art set proves that. I met and had relationships with thousands of artists that I never would have even met if it wasn't for this project, and that's worldwide. There's over 1,200 artists that completed this set over a span of 2.5 years. And we were officially licensed for things like Star Wars, Wacky Packages, and Garbage Pail Kids. And I got the 2 biggest compliments from Lucasfilms at the time. The first one is, early on when I submitted the first round of proofs, the gentleman said to me, how did you do this so fast? We don't get this kind of turnaround this quickly. I says, it's because it's for a good cause, and it's for the kids. And I met so many good people and it's a community where they all come together for a common cause and we all help each other out. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of my artists and the relationships that we've made. The second biggest compliment we got from Lucasfilms is that in these proofs, he saw several artists that the licensee didn't even know about, that they didn't even, knew they existed. So he made the suggestion to them to start using them. So I hope, it's all good karma. What comes around goes around. And hopefully they were able to obtain some jobs, through that artwork that they've done for us, So I'm very proud of the set. I'm proud of the foundation and the work we do. Check it out. They're right here in Orland, but like I say, they're in 22 states, so they have far-reaching, fingers. And we run all kinds of fundraisers throughout the year as well. So if you're, if you want to help, check it out. Send us an email, call us, whatever you want to do. We're open to donations. This year we're focusing on the teens. And of course, teens don't want toys. They want gift cards and, video games and things like this, or makeup for the girls, So those are more welcome as well. Next year we're ramping up for our 24th anniversary and our 25th in 2027. So next year we're having a gala dinner. It's at the Odyssey Country Club in Tinley Park. Mark your calendars. It's April 18th. And we're discussing a discounted rate for early birds. So keep watching the website, sign up for the e-newsletter, and be the first to get in on this discounted rate. It's going to be limited seats, and it'll be a really good time, excellent food, and it's a wonderful night out, So, but I love it. And I do more than this. I work a regular job for a living, that pays the bills. But this is more like my enjoyment, my therapy. And I'll tell you, I'll be honest with everybody, I keep a newsletter in my desk at work. So when I think I have a bad day, I pull out the newsletter, and it really realigns my way of thinking to say, things aren't so bad. There's always somebody there that has it worse than I do. And it really realigns my thought pattern, and I think that's so important for people nowadays because we're all in high-stress jobs now, But, we do things for the kids, and I enjoy it, and I've made countless friends and relationships with people because of this. So hopefully, that works for, many of your audiences too. I love the card people. They're just great people. Come down to the show. The next one here at the Carroll Stream Holiday Inn is May 1st and 2nd. Mark your calendars for that too, because if you haven't been to one, you got to at least come. It's free admission, and just enjoy the day.
Well, what I find is not only is it now today is a little more relaxing because it's a little quieter, but when the pressure's off, especially with free admission and the pressure's off, and you start to kind of know where some of the dealers are, and they tend to be in similar spots. But then I go, oh, I bet you I can go back to that one because I remember to bring this, or I can see something new. But it becomes, especially with the fundraising and just the people, it becomes more than just kind of pushing cardboard back and forth. It becomes kind of a nice little reunion of sorts. But then you're like, it does kind of give you maybe a chance to kind of reset a bit, take a little bit off of your day or week, and then go, oh, for a few minutes, I don't have to, I can do something else.
Well, that's actually very true. And, when I first started the show, and that's one of the things I implemented is, this is your getaway from the stressful life. When you walk through my doors, you're going to be relaxed. You're going to have fun. You'll have an opportunity to talk to people that you haven't seen or haven't met yet, and really forge good relationships. And two of my exhibitors have taken over the show for me. One is now retired, and the second one is retired. And a third one of my exhibitors is going to take it over starting in May. And they're all good people. Everybody here is good people. They're honest, and they care about the collectors. They care about what they do, and nothing's really changed with the format. I mean, it's low key, it's low pressure, and it's family. Mm-hmm. You know, so I really, if you have a moment, please, you know, come on out, enjoy the day. You know, enjoying a day doesn't mean you have to spend money or a lot of money. It just means that come out and just relax, talk to people, you know, see things that you probably didn't even know existed, you know, and have fun. You know, that's the main thing. You know, it's a mental health weekend, you know. So.
And just lastly, so I can kind of let you go and get back to it, where can people find you online or interact with you? Or is the best way?
Well, the best way, if you need to get in touch with me personally, is either through Facebook, but I really prefer people contact me through the foundation. You know, you can send them an email and they'll get it forwarded to me. My name's Paul. And, you know, Facebook, I kind of, you know, unless we're connected, I really kind of shy away from that with the way the world is these days. I don't want to put anybody in a position of having any doubts of, you know, scams or anything like this. But there's a lot of security issues with the internet. And I want people to feel comfortable, you know. And I don't mind people emailing me, you know. But, you know, again, we're in a world these days where everybody's afraid. And we're being made afraid, you know. So I want people to feel comfortable. So securely, you can contact the foundation through the website, treasurechest.org, and just say, hey, you know, I need to get in touch with Paul, and I'll be glad to return the call, the email, and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Perfect. So, but thank you very much. I appreciate it, and appreciate everybody's time.
Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.
I'd like to check out, refuel my ship, prepare for my immediate departure.
All right, I want to thank my guests for being on the program. I hope you enjoyed this little snippet, this little show. It's a smaller show, but then it's a smaller show, right? But anyway, I'm going to let Card Squadron take it out, and we'll talk to you soon.
The Rebel Base Card podcast focuses on cards, collecting, and the Star Wars community, and appreciates you coming along for the ride.
If you have any feedback for this episode, you can reach out to the program in a number of ways. You can leave a comment on the Instagram post for this episode. You can also DM Greg on Instagram at Rebel Base Card.
Make sure to also follow the Rebel Base Card on Twitter and Facebook at Rebel Base Card. If you want, you can send an email to greg@rebelbasecard.com.
And you can find show notes for this and all episodes on the website rebelbasecard.com. In the Star Wars Card Trader app, and just about every other one, you can find Greg at CornFedTech.
The Rebel Base Card uses the hashtag Card Squadron as a way to alert friends about cool cards and recent drops in the galaxy far, far away. It's a great way to bring our community a little bit closer together and help one another finish our sets in time. We collect, communicate, and commiserate. Well, at least when we run out of credits or crystals to spend on our digital collections. Join the fun, even if all the other cool squadron names were already taken. And remember, we collect as one, and would be honored if you'd join us.
And if you are a sketch card artist, or Star Wars artist or collector, cosplayer, and want to talk about your work, your craft or passion, drop Greg a line. I'm sure he'd love to hear your story. You can also help the show by leaving a comment or review on Apple Podcasts, or wherever you got this episode.
Otherwise, the mission is clear. Keep those cards out of the hands of the Empire, and the Rebel Base Card will return soon.
This podcast is not affiliated in any way with Topps, Disney, or Star Wars, nor is it endorsed by Disney or Lucasfilm, and is intended for entertainment and informational purposes only. All names and sounds and any other related items are properties of their respective trademarks and or copyright holders here in the U.S. and abroad. The official Star Wars website can be found at www.starwars.com.
That's it.